Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candi CWall, checking in as I do all throughout the year. I guess this time of year, maybe I pop in and pop out, depending on what there needs to be discussed. But welcome everybody. Come on in. You may have anticipated me going live on this Monday or not, but I'll give everyone an opportunity to jump on in because I know that this wasn't necessarily planned. I think I may have shared something on Facebook and then said something on X. Didn't really say anything anywhere else. Just said, hey, chime on in if you'd like to have a discussion, because there has been a lot that has transpired. I have been on several other shows. Thank you for everyone who has had me on Urban Sports Scene, my big bro Lake Lewis, and others as well. My folks, CBS Sports Lynchburg, I think it's VTRN network now. Got to get everybody's name right, and I'm sure I just butchered that one. But you are watching Bowie Television right now. This is a live television recording. Everything we say and do here will also be on Verizon Channel 11 and Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. You are more than likely watching this show from the Bowie TV YouTube channel, or you may be watching from my Facebook page. Either way, I'm glad that you're here. So if you're watching on Facebook, love button, share the show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, thumbs up, hit the bell, all that cool stuff. I think there's some folks who have already chiming in. Good evening to you all. Yes, there is a new personnel analyst on the Washington Commanders staff. Good evening to you, Kim. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to hop on in because there's always a ton to discuss. And we probably can go ahead and start there while we're waiting for others to join in. Yes, the Washington Commanders have added to their staff former New England Patriots wide receiver, as well as former Dolphins wide receiver coach. You've heard about him probably so much today already, Wes Welker, and his work with Deebo Samuel, his connection to Adam Peters and Cliff Kingsbury. This is yet again another testament to connections and who everybody knows, and just how this regime really relies on relationships and people that do great work and are super duper smart. So if he is coming in to and working with both sides, right? He's working with the personnel staff, he's working with the coaching staff. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing, or just continuing to watch how this team and this leadership group is wanting to just be the best that they possibly can be. So I think this is all good. This is all good things. And as soon as we can all connect the dots and use our own clues and understanding who knows who, then it's easy to kind of figure out all of the things. So with that being said, why don't we already get into it? There's so much that has gone on. Tonight, I'm definitely just popping in to share some of the free agency clips from press conferences. Also, if you haven't seen them already, some of the clips from the NFL owners meeting. So I want to ask, up to this time that you are watching this episode, whether you are watching on television, watching online, what's your one word to describe how you're feeling so far about the Washington Commanders offseason? And hello to Eric Jessup. Share your one word for how you're feeling so far. And it could be anything. I don't necessarily have a one word. I'm not sure if it's fair for me to play the one word game, but go ahead and drop in the chat your one words. I see Mike Underwood has put that he's feeling positive. I mean, it's nothing to complain about, which that in itself is a positive thing. So I don't think there's anything to be upset about or feel like, is it transpiring? Well, I think that we, in year 2 of this leadership team and coaching staff, I think that we're just seeing them continue to build upon what they started last season, which I think is high, which is a good thing. So Kim said energized. Eric is saying anticipation. So go ahead and drop those other words in the chat. If you are just joining, you're watching a live Bowie television recording. This is the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller, chiming in kind of unexpectedly to get some content out there and say, hey, let's just recap free agency. I'm going to play some of the clips from pressers that I attended and had questions from. Also going to play some of the clips from the NFL owners meetings, pressers with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn as well. If you're watching from Facebook, love button. Make sure you share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit like, or you can drop love buttons and fire emojis. You all know how I am. Love buttons and fire emojis. Those are my thing. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Why don't we go ahead and get into some of the clips from these press conferences? How about that? Love button, fire emoji. If you need a reminder or a refresher on some of the pressers from free agency, these aren't clips from every single presser, you all, because then we would be here all night, because it was a lot. It was definitely a lot of press conferences. But I'm going to start out with some of the re-signings. Then we will get into some of the clips from the new players, some of the free agents that they have signed. So while you're watching these clips, you all definitely drop in the chat what you're hearing these players say that's really resonating with you, what you really liked. And then, of course, I will share my thoughts and just some background context on where I was getting at with some of the questions that I asked. So up first, here's one of your favorite linebackers. Hey, Bobby.
Ain't you?
You just mentioned a moment ago unfinished business. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned in the last season with the Commanders?
Kind of still, it's still the same thing. You have, through the course of the season, you have moments where everything's going right. You have moments where things are not going your way. And it's the teams that are able to, not lose focus when those good moments are happening and not fall apart when the bad moments are happening that makes the good teams. And so sometimes, whether it's a young team or older team or whatever case may be, you need to be reminded and learn those lessons. And the teams that, learn those lessons throughout the year are the ones that typically get to play in the playoffs and have a lot of success. And so I think we kind of had that journey last year, and I hope everybody that was a part of it last year, everybody that gets be a part of it this year, understand that, we're going to have our moments, and as long as we learn and, stay together, we'll have another special season.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me just clear something up really quick. As most of you already know, Bobby Wagner goes to Howard University. I'm a Hampton University graduate, so that was a little HU comment there. But hey, listen, I didn't hear him. I was in work mode, didn't hear that comment. But in the words of Darrell Owens, who works with Bowie TV and is also one of our amazing producers, trust me, it would have been a whole nother dream had I heard him make that comment. Probably would have completely derailed the whole press conference. So it's probably best I didn't hear it. At any rate, love button if you're watching on Facebook, thumbs up, fire emoji, love button, fire emoji in the chat. And also, as always, shout out to you all that give love to Mama and Pops Waller, because if they're not on by now, like I said, I just popped on and said I'm going to do this. They'll be on momentarily. I asked Bobby Wagner that question because it's always important. You all should know by now, I'm a lessons learned kind of person, right? What can you glean from the past season? Right? What can you learn? What makes sense? What's going to matter, especially when you get down into the second season? And I think it's safe to say that the team learned a lot, right? Someone that's as tenured as a Bobby Wagner is like been there, done that. He gets it. But in his leadership role on the field and off, it's important for those that have not been there and done that also kind of learn and see from Bobby Wagner and others as well. So even with his years of experience in the league, I definitely wanted to hear his thoughts on what some of those lessons learned are for him. So let's move on, shall we? Because there's so many. And this one, again, this is one of your fan favorites here. The re-signing of Zach Ertz, who was up really early that morning. He got me good too, because I normally am pretty straightforward with my questions, but kind of fumbled on this one a bit, no pun intended. But check out my question to Zach. Good morning, Zach, and welcome back.
Thank you.
So, forgive me if I missed this question because I jumped on as you were responding to Chick. But when was the moment you knew you wanted to be a commander?
Well, last year was when I initially. Yeah.
But when you
after the season over, like what do we the game ended maybe at 6:00 in Philly, the last game. So 6:01 maybe was when I knew I wanted to be back. To me, it was just a situation where it really was a no-brainer. There was no situation where I wanted to go somewhere else. I was very clear with my agent. I was very clear with AP and DQ after the season. So they waited longer than I would have liked, not vice versa. And so for me, it was just I loved being here. I love playing with Jaden. I love playing for DQ and Cliff and Coach Rai. And I love the guys that are here. And so for me, it was never a question of where I would be going into this year in 2025. It was just when it was going to be official.
Thank you. So, listen, and Mama Waller has popped on. She's saying hello to everyone. So she has popped on, you all. So hello, Mom, and everybody else. And so to Stephen Askin's point here, what a difference a year makes. And so I know one of the things that one of the clips that we posted on the Bowie TV YouTube channel was a short of Zach Ertz and Fletcher Cox embracing after the NFC Championship game. And there were so many fans. Oh, he wants to be with the Eagles. Oh, he wants to come back. Oh, he wants to do this. He wants to do that. You know, you heard it right there. It was abundantly clear on when he knew he wanted to come back. Thought that was really important to share for my own knowledge, for everyone's knowledge, right? Just to hear. And that was another one of those things that was a continued message from the players that were re-signed of loving it here, wanting to be here, wanting to still be a part of this culture, wanting to run it back, understanding there was unfinished business. And you heard some of this too. We'll get to that in a moment as well from the new players. And so we'll get to that in a moment. If you're just locking in to this show, you are watching from the Culture from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller. This is a live Bowie television recording. Everything we say and do here, you will absolutely see on your television screens. Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity, Channel 77. I am doing a recap of free agency. Then we'll get into the NFL owner meetings as well, sharing some clips from the press conferences. We'll be sharing clips from the NFL owners meetings. Love button if you are on Facebook. Thumbs up, love buttons, and fire emojis all up and through the chat because y'all know that's my thing. Y'all know that is my thing. So on to another re-signing, which I continue to hear mixed mixed messages from the fan base on this re-signing, but hey, I don't think anyone should be questioning this re-signing anymore, because hearing Zach Ertz talk about John Bates at such high praise as he did, I asked, and we'll watch this in a little bit, Adam Peters about keeping the tight end room together and calling him just, if not one of the best blocking tight end in the league. They locked in John Bates. Check out the clip from him here. Hey, John, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the relationship you all, as the tight end room, has with Coach Rock?
Yeah, I mean, Rye's the guy. Like, he's the most personable, loving, like, uplifting coach and really, honestly, person that, like, I've ever really been around. Like, he just has a unique way of creating relationships with his players and truly, like, being a positive light for all of us in the room and on the team, whoever he interacts with, and just bringing us all up to, like, play at the best that we can be. And so, you know, the bond that we have in that room is super tight-knit, and, like, we all love each other. And, you know, D-Rye's been a big part of that, and bringing a group of guys that haven't all been together before and really just being able to make us super close. So it's been amazing.
Thank you, and congrats again.
Thank you.
Isn't it something else that they sure do use that love word a lot, don't they? Is it me? Love button, fire emoji. If you feel like you hear them use the word love a lot when they're talking about one another, whether it's from the coaching staff, again, player to player, player to coach, coach to coach, coach to owners, all of the things. I feel like they just use that love word a whole lot. And so, just saying, use your clues on that one, okay? Because we've heard that one a ton already in this episode, and I'm not even sharing all of the clips and all of the things from free agency. Now, let's move on to another one of the re-signings, Noah Igbenogany. Took me until week 15 to learn how to say his name, because he would just be Noah I. But Noah Igbenogany, now I can say it. I'm glad he's back, because I was like, I would hate for him to leave, and I finally have figured out how to say his last name. I'm really proud of that. Love button, fire emoji, if you're proud of me too, because that was a feat. Seriously, it means a lot. All right, here's the clip. Hey Noah, this is Candi from Bowie TV. Welcome back. Just one for you from me. I know you just mentioned the coaching staff, and you've been with head coach Dan Quinn for a bit now. So can you share what he's done for you, just professionally and personally?
Just trusting me to come here last year. I feel like that was a huge, and honestly in Dallas I didn't really play that much, you know. So like I was just practicing, honestly, you know. So but he saw the work I was putting in, you know, how much I really wanted it, and he gave me a chance, man. And you know, and that's all I really wanted was an opportunity, and you know, he gave me that, and so I'll forever, you know, honor him and respect him for that. You know, so I'm excited that, you know, trust me again, respect me again, just to come back here again and give me another opportunity, you know, to show what I can do again, you know. So I'm excited, you know, for what the future holds, and, you know, let's see what happens.
All right, thank you. So I saw someone ask why, and it was perfect timing, because Noah, I answered that question within the question that I had for him, right? If there's one thing that I was aware of, I was aware that Noah didn't play that much in Dallas. He didn't. He's definitely very transparent. He did not play as much. It was really just practicing. Another message that I continue to hear about Dan Quinn is what he sees in people and what he's able to just harness in those individuals to bring that out of them in the environments that fit based on where he is, right? But I thought that was special because I knew that. I was aware, you know, ever since last season. I'm like, okay, you know, when he first came to Washington, meaning Noah, and so I already kind of knew, okay, what is it? What is it? I mean, I saw some things last year. I'm not going to act like I didn't, but just knowing and then being able to confirm, and this is me giving some context on my question, what I thought, and that was just Dan Quinn thinks a lot of him and truly believes in what he can do and what he brings. And Dan Quinn truly believes that Noah is a piece or a skill set needed in the locker room. He fits the culture. Now, everything is going to be a competition, you all. I've said this on other shows that I've been a guest on. Everything is going to be a competition. But I definitely think that it's a thing in what Dan Quinn, how he makes people feel and how he's able to just look at talent and folks and the attitude that they bring. So I think Jason Chandler asked why. I think that answers your question, whether or not anyone agrees with it or not. That's, hey, but I think that goes into the why. It's just when Dan Quinn sees something and he believes in somebody, that's how he rolls. And work ethic and attitude and all of that is a part of it. So with that being said, I have another re-signing clip for you all. Special teams ace, Nick Ballore. Check this out. Hey, Nick, Candi here from Bowie TV. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yep, sure thing. And so can you describe a bit when the special teams unit gets on the field? Can you describe the level of energy and just the overall identity you all want to bring to each game?
Yeah, I think first, it's good for me because it kind of, I hear the 10 other guys talking, and half the time I don't know what they're talking about, probably just because I'm, a decade older than them. So it keeps me kind of in the loop of, cultural references and stuff and pop culture things. So that's good for me because I'm able to kind of I learn lingo and stuff from those guys when we're just chatting before we kick the ball off. But I think, generally we want to be a physical and, disruptive force in the game. And I think I would hope that everyone could see that, when we're running on all cylinders. And I think we can have a big impact. I think, kicking the ball short and covering kicks, when you cover like we tend to, I think is a huge, demoralizer for teams, especially like later in the game, later in the season, because a lot of teams kind of, forget about, I think, the fourth down aspect of the game, and to have, guys that are willing to do it and coaches that are willing to put us in the position to do that, I think is huge. And, I think the biggest thing is, we're only out there 15, 20, 25 snaps a game and, trying to affect the game as much as we can when we're out there.
Thank you.
Yep.
You all know I'm a special teamer. So I have to ask questions about things involving special teams because it really sets the tone of the game. And there was some new rules, a rule modification, another rule modification made at the owners meeting. So it's an important part. It's a tone setter. It really truly is. And so wanting to, with Nick coming back and knowing, last year was one of the questions that I had for Coach Quinn was just basically the background on Nick Ballore. Like, what do you know about him? How'd you find him? And, him, admitting, I didn't know much about him. This was Coach Izzo said, I really want you to check this guy out. And Nick Ballore made an impact. He absolutely did. So for them to re-sign him, I think was a big deal for sure. If you are just dropping in, this is a live Bowie television recording. This is from the Culture from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller. If you're watching on TV, I'm sure you're watching on Verizon Channel 11 or Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. Doing some updates here. Decided to pop in, share some clips from free agency. Also going to share some clips from the NFL owners meetings, from Adam Peters' press conference, as well as Dan Quinn's press conference. If you're new, welcome. So happy to have you. Stay a while, why don't you? If you're returning, hey now, hello. Glad you came back. I hope you enjoy it here, because now we are going to get into some of the presses from the new guys, from the new players to the team. So we've gone through If you've missed it, definitely go ahead and check some of the clips that I've shared from re-signed players: Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, John Bates, Noah Igbenogany, and Nick Bellore. But we have some of the new guys up. We have some clips from their press conferences. So, you know how I like to do, as you all are listening and watching and paying attention to the press conference, absolutely drop in the chat some of your thoughts. What are you thinking? What's really resonating with you with what they're sharing? And then I will share with you all after the clip is over. Why did I ask that question? Because I'm sure sometimes you might be listening to us on these press conferences and you might say, now, why would you ask that question? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you all some of the secret sauce as it pertains to Candi Waller of why I asked the question. First up, Javon Kinlaw. Hi, Javon. Welcome home. And now since DA did it, I'm a PG County girl from Bowie. Much PG County from Bowie. But yes, welcome home again. You mentioned about the Washington Commanders being the talk of the town. So kind of, can you share a bit? What's the word on the street about the Washington Commanders?
I mean, where can I start? Like I keep saying, like everybody, like, man, they play hard, super physical. They're gonna give you their best. They're gonna give you their best shot, no matter who it is. And that's really it, though. Like, you're gonna have to strap it up when you play against the Commanders, man. And I love being on that type of team where you know you got to come to play. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when he mentioned it earlier, I was kind of like, all right, I definitely want to know. So what's the word? Because I know what the word, I know what I have heard, right? But it's always different from a player perspective. Now, you're going to start to hear some of that lines of messaging as well from some of the new adds to the roster and to the team, of what they saw in this team, right? What the word on the street is, again, going back to culture change, what a difference a year makes. So we're talking about the theme and what the returning players are saying and how much they love this coach, love this player, love each other, all of that. Now it's that different, the tone from someone on the outside looking in of what they were seeing in this team, which I think is important. I think it is important. So, love button, fire emoji. Does everyone have their pen and paper? Because that should be just like a staple when you watch this show. Make sure you have your notes and make sure you're using your clues, because it is a very, very important point. Next up, new add to the roster, Will Harris.
Said welcome, congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking forward to meeting you in person, as David just said. So last one for me. When you mentioned even how these guys get off the bus, and so when you all, first when you were with the Saints last season, when you all were preparing to play the Washington Commanders, what were some of the on-the-field strengths that you saw from this team?
Right. So, these guys play with passion. The communication was amazing. You can tell, like, when you're out there on the field, yes, it's loud, but in between plays, you can hear guys talking, right? You can hear even, maybe after a negative play, which happens, in every game. You're going to have plays that you're like, whatever. But, even after a negative play, guys are rallying behind each other. Guys are positively speaking behind each other. There's a very positive mindset here. And that game was a very, up and down game by both, by both teams. And it was, it went down, to the end. It was a dogfight. But throughout the whole game, no matter what happened, positive things happened, guys rallied around each other. Negative things happened, guys rallied around each other. And those are the intangible things, that you could tell that, that's a part of the culture. That's a part of the culture here. And those are the things that, like, that, all that stuff matters. Like that stuff, it may not be in the stat line, but it matters for sure. And, you know, that alone, you know, is one of the reasons, you know, to why you can, you know, kind of dig yourself out of some of those ruts in games or some of those, you know, situations that, you know, may not go your way, you know, a bad call or whatever in a game, whatever it may be. You can dig yourself out of it. You know, and I saw this firsthand, you know, looking over into their huddle. So that's one of the things that I saw for sure. And the communication between coach and player, between the sidelines, you know, in the field was one of the things that I noticed as well. And obviously, you know, these guys are, you know, we're buttoned up over here for sure. So you could tell that there was a constant communication from the players to the coaches, you know, to upstairs, as far as like what's being, like what players are seeing on the field, what adjustments need to be made in the whole nine. And all those things, yes, they're the intangibles. They don't show up in the stat line, but they matter though. They matter. So, you know, I'm super excited to, you know, to get in here and play with these guys, man. I can't say that enough.
Thank you. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Now, what a thorough response that was. Okay, that was almost 3 minutes. But look, when you have something positive to say, I mean, love button fire emoji, seriously. When you have something positive to say about your opponent, and again, here's the message: can't wait to play with them. Can't wait to be a part of it, right? Throughout the years, I think that, you know, we can all say the term of saying buttoned up. I don't think that would be a description for what the team has looked like in the past, you know, prior to this staff. I don't think buttoned up would be a descriptor. So you talk about that, right? Using your clues, how buttoned up they were. Talking about the communication, right? Talking about even when plays didn't go their way, you know, still rallying behind what Will Harris was seeing and watching when they were in the huddle. Okay. The intangibles, like he was saying. And you've also heard Coach Quinn talk about things that don't show up on the stat sheet. So you hear that language a bit again with Will Harris about what doesn't come up in the stat line. And talking about those intangible things. Those are indicators of culture change that he's talking about and what, you know, he's witnessing as well as what others are witnessing. Earlier in that press conference, and I think I may have mentioned this, shout out to Wole and all of the guys in the fam in the urban sports scene. I think I shared this on his show. If you all saw it, it was what struck me was the New Orleans Saints game was after the bye week. Yes, I think so. Yes, it was. I hope. I think it was. So, yes, to the way they got off the bus, because I'm typically somewhere around when the team is arriving in the tunnel at away games. At away games, you know, of course, during home games, they come in at different times and they do what they need to do, go out in the field, all that. I go straight up to the press box. In away games, I go to the press box as well, but I go down when I know that the team is coming. And because I like this, I like to be around. I want to see the team when they get there. And so as they're arriving, I distinctly remember in that game or before that game, I remember a few different things that game, because I think that was the one where Tyler Biotish was sick. But other than that, I certainly remember saying to myself, oh, they ready to play football today. Okay, nobody look like they off. They look like they are revitalized and rejuvenated. They're ready to go. They're ready to play a good football game. So when Will Harris mentioned that, I was like, because I certainly remember their vibe when they got off of the bus. And it wasn't just one or two or three or four of them. It was everybody. And it's just a swag. It's just an energy. Kind of hard to describe, but once he said it, I knew that it was real. So again, very important points, all good things and feedback that you're hearing here, which leads me to then the next one with Jonathan Jones. Check it out.
Hey there, Jonathan. Welcome to Washington. Kind of piggybacking there off of Scott's question, you have experienced the ultimate high of winning the Super Bowl, and you've experienced some difficult years as well in recent years with the New England Patriots in terms of just wins, losses. So what can you bring to this team from your veteran experience of just the lessons learned?
Yeah, a lot. And you learn that the margin for error in this league is small. You know, the difference between, any of those teams, the Super Bowl teams or the terrible teams, all had talented players. They all had, guys that could play in this league. But you realize how important the bond is, the trust. It takes a lot of trust to go out and win championships. Of every guy being able to know that your teammates are going to show up every day, do their responsibility, do their job, is a big thing. It goes a long way. It's just having the trust of each other, having the trust of the coaches. Everybody being on the same page as an organization is what it needs to win.
Thank you, and welcome again.
Thank you.
So, gotta speed up now. I have to speed up now. I do want to play this last clip, and there was definitely several others, you all. I know you all watched the press conferences or listened to the press conferences, so we couldn't put everything in this episode along with the clips that I feel like are very, very important from the owners' meetings with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, because we're going to close out with those. But I do want you all to hear Jacob Martin's response. If you haven't already, this might be a reminder for you. Jacob Martin's response to my question, because he was just returning from IR on the Chicago Bears when the Bears played the Commanders. You already know what game it was, the Hail Mary game.
Hi there, Candi from Bowie TV. Welcome to DC. Welcome to the area. So you just mentioned that of course, we looking up your bio. You were in Chicago last year, so you were kind of on the other side, experiencing the whole Hail Mary experience, and that game kind of going down as one of the biggest moments in the season last year. So when you were just watching the team in that game specifically, what were some of the things you observed about this team?
Well, for me, that game was important because that was my first game back last year. Coming off IR, so I was just excited to play in a hostile atmosphere. To make it feel like I'm playing football again. Just like that the overall like initial comeback or return to play, those feelings. But playing, obviously playing in the game and playing even on that Hail Mary play, being on the field during that play, you could just feel how together the guys were. You know what I mean? Like there's just a general camaraderie amongst the guys, and their goals or their aspirations never wavered in that game. You can feel that as a competitor. If someone feels like they have the edge on you, you can most definitely feel that. You know what I mean? So those guys didn't blink when we played them. You know what I mean? And to be able to join a squad like that, continue to build and see the things that they were able to do in the postseason, it's truly amazing. It's amazing, and it makes guys' decision, or guys like me, my decision makes it a lot easier for sure to come join a roster and an organization like that.
So you heard Javon Kinlaw talk about what the word on the street was about the Washington Commanders. You heard Will Harris talk about what he observed from this team when he played them in December. You hear Jacob Martin talk about what he observed from this team when they played them in week 8, I think it was, the Hail Mary game. Sure is some themes and some consistency there about this team and what they're really doing and not just the perception of what they are doing. And these are from different perspectives at different points of the season from the players who are coming into the building. So if you haven't used your clues yet, I think it's safe for you to do so at this point. Now, let's move on forward. Love button, fire emoji. If you are still following along, this is a live Bowie television recording from the Culture from the Couch series. This is your Washington Commanders update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller. I am going to show a few more clips. Now, these are from the owners' meetings. While we have about 10 minutes left, drop your questions for me in the chat. I'm going to play these clips, but definitely drop any questions that you have for me in the chat. And what I can answer, I absolutely will try my best to answer them. The additions of Will Harris and Jonathan Jones. So can you just share what you all saw in them and what made you think that they were going to be really good Commanders?
Yeah, you said it. They look like Commanders on tape, and everything we've heard about them from New England, from New Orleans, but also when Will Harris was in Detroit, we had Lance Newmark was there, so we have some really good insight with him. And then Jonathan Jones has been a great pro for, since he got in the, he's a self-made guy who has been a great pro for a long time. So understanding who they are as men and who they are as competitors and teammates, but then also their play style on the field. And I think you guys, I've seen them, like the highlights that our fans make are really cool, like on on social media. But like those guys are physical, they're fast, they're aggressive, they play our style. So we're really excited to have them.
Shout out if you are one of those fans that Adam Peters was just talking about and making those cool videos that clearly they are watching. And so I see a question came in about the Commanders hiring Wes Welker. Wes Welker has been hired to be a personnel analyst. He will be working with both the coaching staff as well as the personnel staff. Connections there. I think he and Cliff Kingsbury were like roommates at Texas Tech. They just all know each other. I think Adam Peters knows him as well through his work with San Francisco and his work with Deebo Samuel. So going back to the using of your clues, the connections are real. And why not? Isn't that good for business? If you know somebody that's great people and they're smart, they're ready to go, they have excellent relationships with those that are already in the building, why not bring them on? Especially when you're trying to, we all know what it is. So when you try to make it do what it do in a big way, why not bring in the people that can help you do that? So I hope that answers your question. Let's see here. How do you feel when people speak on the sophomore slump? What happens to QBs? I think I've answered this question, not on this show. So I'm glad that you asked me this. I always come back and say, well, which quarterbacks did this happen to? Because I think if we're all using our clues there, I'm just going to say, well, you got to give me some names of the quarterback slump. You got to give me some names. Now, this doesn't mean that a sophomore quarterback isn't going to have a bad play, a bad game, or not as great of a game. But I always say, well, who are you talking about? Because see, then I'm going to go to did Tom Brady have one? Did Patrick Mahomes have one? Did Lamar Jackson have one? Let's get to name them so I can see who we're talking about in terms of who's had the sophomore slump, and then I can go from there. Because I think it's not always, relative. And so that's my answer. That's what I say. And it's kind of like, hey, this goes back to knowing the staff, knowing the personalities and the work ethic of the people in the building, and just saying, hey, of course it's possible, but for how long? A year of a slump is very long. So it's kind of like a bad game or bad day, a bad play that happens to the best of them and the greatest of them. But how long is really the slump, and who really had a true sophomore slump that anybody would consider great. So that's my answer to that. I hope I answered your question. Now let's move on to keep dropping the questions. Now you all keep dropping the questions. Let me move on to another Adam Peters clip. And then keeping the tight end room together.
Yeah.
Just share a little bit more about why that was so important for you all as well.
Yeah, I think just starting with Zach, bringing him in last year, we were really pleased with how he not only played, but what a leader he was, and becoming a captain voted on by his teammates at the end of the year was really, really cool to see just how his leadership grew throughout the year, much like Terry's. And so that was a priority for us to bring him back. And he's been, people can say he's lost a step, but he still gets open all the time, and his blocking got better as the year went on too. So everybody had that mindset to get better, and Zach was fit right in with that. And he's a great weapon to have in the pass game, especially. So that was a priority. And then John Bates, we think he's, if not the best, one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. And his mentality, his tenacity, his physicality fit right in with what we want to do, and he brings an edge to our offensive line. He's almost an extension of that. But we also think with John that he's got, much like Kinlaw, he's got another step to go in the pass game. He's got some untapped stuff that we really want to work on. And when we re-signed him, that was one of our goals. We talked to him about that. It's like, we don't want to just bring you back. We want to get you better and better. And he was really positive about that. So that room's a really good room. It's a really deep room, and that's what we want to create with every room, really, is competition, and that's really the theme of our program.
So this goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about John Bates and referencing and share with you all early on in this episode that, later on, this is, something that Adam Peters mentioned based on what I asked him. And so I would say it all season long, like, John Bates is blocking his behind off. It's like he's on the offensive line. And so it is a great signing. He's happy. Everyone's happy. I think it's a great thing. So that's kind of my 2 cents there. I see a couple of questions come in. How many picks do you see them ending up with by the time the draft is done? I mean, maybe they have like 5, maybe they end up with like 7, but it's what, for this draft or another draft, right? That's how my mind starts to go. Okay, well, are they going to go down in draft? Is going to end up getting more draft picks? Who knows? But is this more of just going with the 5? Maybe they get a couple more for another draft. My answer would be 7, but that's just me saying 7. And then you kind of say, then an extension of that question for me would be, maybe it's not for this year, but maybe next year. I don't know. But that's just me guess. That is a pure guess, you guys. I have no idea. With the ingredients that Adam has brought in, what are your thoughts on how they should approach the draft? Need-based, best available, look to acquire more picks. I would go best available. Best available based on the Commander standard. Now, when we're using our clues, I asked the question, and it may come up here soon, about leadership capabilities. So those who have been team captains, those that have been captains, those have had a lot of playing time, And what we learned from last year, which I think is safe to say this, is that they need players who are going to be ready to play. Because the majority of them, they all played last year. They all played in some capacity last year. So these have to be active contributors at some point in the season, barring any injury. So I definitely think that if they're going best available based on who they think will be really, really good commanders, can absolutely contribute week 1, because I don't think they're drafting anybody to just sit around. And I to the point of the earlier clip with Jonathan Jones, I certainly feel that, like he said, the room for error is so small, so the margin for error is so small. You gotta be able to play. So Do you think we will sign another wide receiver and running back? Yes and yes. Whether through draft or signing, yes and yes. I mean, on top of what they've already done, yes and yes. Do you feel that the coaches are confident in Cole Turner? Do you think they are looking to draft another tight end in the middle rounds? I mean, hey, another thing that Adam Peters, if you paid attention to it, the name of their program is competition. So I'm the kind of person that's kind of like, well, they can go ahead and just, pick up whoever they like. If it's for competition purposes, Cole was on the practice squad. He was on the roster last year. He was cut. They brought him back. So I know they think highly of Cole. They really, really, really like him a lot. So we'll have to see what happens there because we're still waiting to see a lot more of contribution from Ben Sinnott, which you did see him a bit in games, but definitely on special teams. So that is a factor there as well. So let's see. Cortland, I have the Commanders taken. Could you, Nick E? I'll have to learn how to say his last name at some point, maybe. Could you see them going defense with their needs? Absolutely. This draft is very deep with the defensive line. So I absolutely, yes, and for sure. I could see them going defense. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, Candi, because a lot of fans think BPA means using the grades assigned by mock folks who don't know what Washington is specifically valuing. Absolutely. Adam Peters is not going to show you his hand now. This is definitely not. I mean, some things were like, this isn't last year. Last year was fantastic. Let me be clear. But this year, first of all, hello, love button, fire emoji for picking at 29. Can we get a love button and a fire emoji for a Washington franchise that doesn't have to pick until 29? Because who would have thought they saw that coming this year? So it will be interesting to see what they do. And I've been saying that. Yeah, I've been continuously saying, well, I'd be interested in seeing if they keep the pick. And if they do, I would be interested in seeing who they pick. This is going to be very fun. Wow. I don't have any idea what to expect in this one, at least not at this moment. At this point in time, I have no idea. And Adam Peters isn't the type that will let anybody see his hand either. And a lot of people have been just talking about Travion Henderson as well. So, we'll see what happens. Absolutely see what happens. I still have clips. You all drop in the chat your questions. Here's some more clips. Now we're switching over to the press conference with Dan Quinn.
Coach, bringing Marcus Mariota back, how important was that to the overall locker room and for Jaden's continued growth and development?
Yeah, and he really played well.
Yes.
And I think that's an important piece to it because I never wanted to see he or any of his teammates, that's always at the top of the pile. Past that, it was really important. The teammate that he is, the respect that he has amongst not just the offensive players, but the entire team. There were some times in practice, like he was absolutely throwing dimes, against the defense and made it as hard a look, as you could have possibly imagined. That speaks to who the competitor is. But to have him back, one as a player, two as a teammate, it was really important. And we're really, really pumped. I felt like I've known Marcus coaching against him for a while, but to actually coach him this year was all that I hoped it would be.
So here's a moment for a love button and a fire emoji again. I did this on the show with Wole. I think, when was it? Just yesterday? Was it Sunday? I don't even know what day it was. Thursday? I don't even know what day it is. Okay. But the last time I was on Wole's show, I said love button, fire emoji. I think it was last Thursday because there's been no quarterback controversy. There is none. Okay. And you would think about it when you really think about it, you're like, in a previous time, the fact that this leadership team signed a rookie quarterback, had 2 veteran quarterbacks. Being real honest, there were 4 quarterbacks on the roster last year between the active roster. They were carrying 3, and then Sam Hartman was on the practice squad. Okay, so there was 4. No controversy whatsoever. Love button, fire emoji. That is a very big deal. This lets you know what type of time these people are on. Okay. And I feel like Cortland asked another question about, do we get any indication? Yes. Yes. But the thing about it is with Adam Peters, he's just so great at what he does. So he's kind of like, you might, trade up, could trade back. You don't know, we only got, these many draft picks right now. We could end up with more. So you just don't know with him. But yes, I think anything is an option because as things start to happen on draft night, especially when you start to get into the later of the first round, it's like, hey, anything could kind of go here because it's typically sometimes you see the projections start to fall and it's like, whoa, didn't think that he was going to fall, and they do, and so you have to see what happens. It will be interesting to see what happens with this 29th pick. That's all I'm gonna say. This is interesting to me anyway. And so absolutely regarding Marcus Mariota, and that's why I had to ask. We're talking so much about all the other re-signings, which are phenomenal. All the free agents is great, but you really have to just really think about the fact that Marcus Mariota means a lot to this team. Now, I will go down a whole rabbit hole. Love button, fire emoji. If you have been on for one of my Marcus Mariota rants, I'm not going to do that to y'all tonight, though, okay? I'm not going to do that, but it was very important. And yes, listen, love button, fire emoji. No quarterback controversy. Listen, the Lord answers prayers. So all the good things. And I absolutely appreciate this comment here from Randy Barnes about the content. I'm glad you all enjoy it and you all acknowledge Darrell, who is constantly on the phone with me and all my random requests about cameras and this and that. But, he's amazing. He does great work. He was the man behind the lens. He does so many great things for Bowie TV and his own organization, Legacy Maker Sports, as well. So listen, you guys, I feel like do I have time? I'm over my time. And I'm glad you love it here. Stay here for a minute. I feel like, you're welcome for the off-season content. I do have a little bit more time. I think I have 2 more clips. Love button, fire emoji. If you all can stick with me for 2 more clips. Let me go ahead and get into them because I'll start talking and then I'll have to go abruptly.
And bringing in Dietrich Wise and Jonathan Jones, what do you all see in them and what they've done in the league over the years? And you thought they would be good commanders, great commanders.
We do. And I want to start with Jonathan first. So it's the speed and the tackling, that set them apart. He came into the league really the way that you like to see somebody really proving it on special teams and going for it. But the speed is something that, playing on the outside and playing in the slot, the ability to match up onto people, that's a big deal, and that's demonstrated. And then with Dietrich, I always just, even him coming out, he's got pass rush, he can play square in the run game, so he's a really versatile player. And sometimes you want some guys that can move into different locations, Candi, because now they can handle more than one job. And I think whether it's a safety that can play down in the box on third down, or a linebacker, or a linebacker like Frankie that can do a rush, or Dietrich who can play outside and inside, players that can do more than just one thing and add value that way, that's a big deal.
So if you all have not noticed yet, let me use some clues on me now. All right, and I appreciate this comment. Use your clues on me. I have probably asked about Jonathan Jones about 800 times by now. Just kidding. I've asked for three times. Use your clues on that one, but I have asked a lot. Now, I'm also wanting to say, and I feel like someone caught on, okay, to what, Dietrich Wise, Jonathan Jones, yes. But when you hear Coach Quinn and Adam Peters talk about players, you hear them talk about not being able, like not just doing one thing, in all of the multiple ways that they can be used. You hear this all the time. Let's give you an example. Mikey Samuelsdale can do more than one thing, we have found. We will soon find if Brandon Coleman can do more than one thing, right? Right. So when we're looking at the players that they're bringing in, whether that be veteran or rookie, I think these are very important points. And I wasn't going to go down this rabbit hole at all with you all because I took myself down a deep, deep path of the pro day maze. But if you got some time on your hands, you might want to go down the pro day maze rabbit hole because that's a fun one. All right, last clip, and then drop any more questions that you have, and then we're going to sign off.
Coach, one of the kind of characteristics that I've noticed when you bring in vets as well as rookies is that they've been team captains before. So kind of how important is that leadership characteristic coming in?
Yeah, I think that's probably a byproduct of looking for that because it's not something that we put as a filter, but we do really value what leadership can be. And it's not all the same, and I don't think a person's born, as a leader. I think they're made, and so when you see it happening in college, like, okay, you can see that, happening on your team. When you see it on another club around the league, a lot of times that will transfer over. So it's an important piece, and the best of the best, can find where are their ways to lead. Not everybody's, out front and center and everything, but it is important to find their own space. And we've got a lot of leaders on our team, and not just leaders that are going to be at the Commanders, but like in life after football. And so I really value that part of connecting with the guys. They're going to be leaders in their communities, their families, businesses, and things post-football. So I really dig into that topic hard with them.
Internet awards for anyone that can guess why I asked that question. I mean, I was honest about what I noticed. I was being honest about that because why would I not be? But internet awards, because now I'm starting to get all internet awards for the leadership topic. And the fact that Dan Quinn, in response, said that is a topic that he digs into, with them. I would also like to say, love button, fire emoji, if you noticed that Coach Quinn said they have a lot of leaders. Now, at one point in time, we didn't know who the leaders were. Does anybody remember that? Didn't even know who they were. Now, you got a head coach that says we got a lot of leaders. So, I just want to make sure no one missed that. That what do you know? Now this team has a lot of leaders. When at one point we couldn't figure out who the leaders were. Man, what a world. What a whole new world. So I think I shared the dates of the off-season program. And if I didn't, now you all know I do not like doing this. So I look down at my phone and tell you all the dates of the off-season program. Okay. Did I tell, well, no, it wasn't. It was this is a funny one. This was a good one. Good, funny joke. Now, All-season program starting. First day for the Washington Commanders is April 22nd. OTA, off-season workouts, May 28th, May 30th, June 3rd and 4th, June 6th. Mandatory minicamp, June 10th through 12th. Does everybody get those dates? I think I posted them. Pretty sure I did. First day, April 22nd. OTA off-season workouts, May 28th, May 30th, June 3rd through 4th, June 6th, and mandatory minicamp, June 10th through the 12th. I'm not certain if those are dates that are actually open to media or not. I have no idea. But I'll be there if they are. So I'm glad you all have them. We're coming to a close. We've stayed on here quite a while. I hope you all enjoyed my updates. I hope you enjoyed the check-in. The next check-in from Coaching from the Couch, Washington Commanders update. Of course, we have the content from Dan Quinn's presser at owners meetings, Adam Peters' presser, the full pressers on the Bowie TV YouTube channel, and it'll also be airing on the television channel as well. This episode you can watch as many times as you like on the replay. We'll also have this in kind of a series format on the television channel as well. I think I'll pop back in after the draft is complete. I do a draft show, so I will continue on that path of doing a draft show. And kind of digging into each one of the draft picks and just what does it look like from a Commander's perspective. And also because now is the time where I start to really look at what did the rest of the division do. Now we stayed on the Washington Commanders tonight because that's where I wanted to stay. But once it comes to the draft episode and maybe an episode or two after that, we really got to talk about, okay, all right. So what happened with the rest of the division, free agency and draft, and really take a look at that, because it's a big deal. Even if they don't feel like they did much, you still have to get into it. You still have to talk about it and get into it. It's very important. So we'll be doing a breakdown of these draft picks as well as just really understanding and knowing so far where do the Commanders fit. Now, you all know I started doing this last year, which was I don't give out grades on draft until after the season is over, because I'm like, hey, we don't know these people. So let's see what happens. We can give an effective draft grade after the season is done. Not after the first season, but do it after the second season. So you all listen. Thank you so much as always for tuning in and sticking out the whole show with me. At this point, if you know any Washington Commanders fans that are not locked in on Bowie TV, let them know. They don't know what they're missing. They need to come on and add Bowie TV as one of their go-to channels for all things Bowie and PG County, all things Washington Commanders, all things Baltimore Ravens, you name it, Bowie TV needs to be one of your favorite channels. Absolutely, if it isn't already. So make sure you spread the word, and I'm going to hold you all to that you're going to do that for Bowie TV. You all be blessed, and you already know the drill. I'll be talking to you all again soon.